All right, guys, welcome in to a live edition of Ravens Reports, man. It's been a while since we've had a live stream with you guys, and I wanted to come in and do a little bit of a pre-game live stream, take some questions, and then also go over, of course, our top 5 news reports and storylines coming out of our Ravens today. Appreciate everyone in the chat. Eric Gordon, we got Connor, we got Mac Ford, Killa, Jim Edits, Nargo Media. Man, appreciate you guys for coming in. So let's get this thing rolling, man. If you guys haven't already seen the news, all right. So Eric Decosta, this man is a wizard. This is why he's playing chess while other guys are playing checkers. What's up, Nat? Appreciate you for coming through. This man, Eric Decosta, is so driven, so hungry for success that in the middle of the most dominant Ravens season in team history, maybe one of the most dominant seasons, you can put 2019 up there if you want, but he's still looking for ways to improve this team in the future for the next 2 seasons, really, because Eric Decosta just extended Michael Pierce to another 2-year deal. It's a $7.5 million deal. Jeremiah says adding Cook should be a crime. Appreciate you, Jeremiah. Man, the Ravens, they continue to make these really smart moves. It goes back to Jadeveon Clowney. Like, right before the season, you need some edge help, and then he has a career year. Then you get Kyle Van Noy off the couch, and he has like 8 sacks. These guys continue to come in. Wait till Sue gets signed. Jeremiah, what's up? Appreciate you for coming in. We need Madubuike. Yes. So that's we'll get into that more here in a second. Actually, let's look here because you got to forgive me here for the technicality. I don't do a lot of live streams, but we're going to get good at this thing. All right. So here is, all right, so you guys can see my screen here. And here's Jeff Zarebek, who says the Ravens extended defensive tackle Broderick Washington before the season. They've now extended nose tackle Michael Pierce. Next order of business is Justin Madubuike. It's hard to imagine they'd allow Madubuike to hit the open market in March, even if he takes the franchise tag to do it. I did say that I really felt like the Ravens, there's no way they can let this type of dominant interior pass rush go on the open market, man. Like, when's the last time we had a pass rusher like this dominant? We're talking about maybe Terrell Suggs. I mean, Justin Madubuike just broke Terrell Suggs' record. I mean, for the single season sacks, or I think matched it with 13. So Justin Madubuike having a dominant year. You can't let him walk as well, but this is a really good move for Eric Decosta to get ahead of it, to get, to be thinking ahead in the future. And a big reason why I think this happened is this is really good stuff here by Brian McFarland, who's like the experts on the Ravens salary cap, really, really smart guy. And he says on January 4th, so a couple of days ago, he said, not saying it's going to happen, but the last couple of years, EDC, the Ravens have used the last couple of weeks of the season to re-sign players. Marcus Peters in 2019, they extended him right at the end of the year. Patrick Ricard in 2019, Macari in 2020, Roquan in last year to an extension. And get this, it allows the extension, the first bonus proration to hit on the present year's cap. So what that means is that the bonus from the signing will not affect next year's salary cap whenever the Ravens are going to be kind of tight. They don't have a lot of cap room next year. It's going to be tough when you're paying Lamar Jackson as one of the highest paid quarterbacks in NFL history, deservingly so. But so Eric Decosta making really smart moves here to go ahead and get ahead of this and go ahead and get the bonus from that signing on this year's salary cap. Use what you have of this year and not have to worry about it for next year. And then you also, at the same time, go ahead and bolster your defensive line, because check this out. All right. So it's huge because we know Justin Madubuike is a free agent. Brett Urban is a free agent. He's only on a 1-year deal right now. But they now have Michael Pierce, Broderick Washington, who they signed earlier in the offseason, and Travis Jones for the next 2 seasons. So talking about 3 rocks, 3, big pieces on your defensive line. And Broderick Washington, Michael Pierce, and Travis Jones that'll be here locked up for the next 2 years. Appreciate everyone for coming through the chat, man. Bill, appreciate you. Show some love to Bill. Help out Noah and hit the like button, y'all. Do you think Tyler Huntley can deal with the Steelers' defense? Yes, Liam, absolutely. I think Tyler Huntley. I saw a funny tweet posted this morning. It said, "Bad news for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tyler Huntley woke up today." And I think Tyler Huntley is one of the best backups in the league. Appreciate you, Tank. Appreciate the love. We got Patrice. Hopefully I didn't screw up your name here. Get that like, peeps. Appreciate you guys for coming in. We got, I think, what do we got now? 288 in the live chat, man. So appreciate you coming out on a Saturday morning. We're about 4 hours away from kickoff against these Pittsburgh Steelers, man. And people are saying the Ravens don't have much to play for, but I'm telling you what, these guys that'll be on the field are looking to punch their divisional rival right in the mouth and knock them straight off. Get out of the playoffs. No, like, you're not coming in the playoffs. You're coming into Baltimore, and we're going to go ahead and knock you out of the postseason, destroy your hopes, because I guarantee you there's guys that are still salty and have a sour taste in their mouth from that loss from the Steelers earlier, man. I tell you what, there was no way we should have lost that game. The Ravens outgained the Steelers. They had more first downs. It was a really fluky game. There were some turnovers and like 7-8 drops where Lamar Jackson was throwing absolute dimes all over the football field. And the receiver, man, the ball was just bouncing right off the receiver's hands. Why do you think that people hate on the Ravens so much, man? When you're a consistently good team and you're built the right way and you're a contender, a playoff contender year in and year out, other team fans of other fan bases will not like your success, and there always will be hatred that comes with it. So appreciate you. Preston Jerry, thanks for coming in. Yeah, the Ravens have the deepest roster in the league, showed last year in the playoffs, man. Their depth has shown up monumental this year. The depth has been a huge reason. In fact, one of the players, I forget who it was, talked about the depth. I think it was Ronnie Stanley, saying that this was the best team, the best Baltimore Ravens team he's ever been on. Odell Beckham Jr. said the same thing. Lamar Jackson said they have a once in a long time type of opportunity right now with how good their team is, how deep there is, man. A guy goes down, they don't blink. And I was talking about this yesterday in our episode of Ravens Report yesterday. What I love about this defense is, like, they'll give up a big play and they'll be like, bro, try it again. Try it again, man. Like, let's see. Roquan Smith said, line them up. We'll keep knocking them down. And they're not phased when a big play happens, when an injury happens, man. They just line it up and they keep playing, man. I love this team. They're very resilient. All right, so back to the Michael Pierce extension. I love it because he's a cornerstone in Mike Macdonald's scheme. Michael Pierce is that true nose tackle that's kind of getting rare in today's NFL, where a guy is that big, that strong, that can consistently hold up on double teams in the interior of that defensive line. He's a true 0-1 technique, clogging those run lanes and letting those linebackers fly. Mike Macdonald, he runs a lot of 3-4. We are traditionally a 3-4 defense, but there's other schemes that we play on the defensive line and stuff. But having that true nose tackle gives you the flexibility to play that 3-4, to let your outside linebackers and your inside linebackers fly around as your big boy up front, and Michael Pierce is clogging those run lanes. And I absolutely love it that Eric Decosta is thinking ahead in the middle of a season where the Ravens are dominant, man. They're like, biting on the heels of a Super Bowl run. And he's already looking forward to next year in ways to be creative and to get an advantage in any way possible. I absolutely love it. All right. And like we said earlier, Jeff Sarebek, who's almost always spot on, predicts that the Ravens will not let Justin Madubuike go, even if that means that the Ravens could be franchise tagging him. And like I said, I don't think there's any way that you want to that you can let him walk, man. How do you think, Andre, that Tyler Huntley is going to do today, man? Keep the questions coming because I want this to be open. I want to interact with you guys. That's why I wanted to do a live stream, because I wanted to just interact with you guys, hang out with the Ravens flock, man. You guys know this channel is called For the Flock. because it's for you guys. It's for the Flock family. So I appreciate you guys. Keep the questions coming in the comment section. I want the win, but please no injuries in today's sloppy conditions. Yes, the rain is supposed to be coming down hard by 4:30 whenever the Ravens and Steelers kick off. So hopefully we stay away from injuries. Snoop going to snuff out there. Tyler Snoop Huntley is going to ball out today. 13-10 with all the backup. Man, I think we're going to put up more points than that. Absolutely. So, yeah, appreciate everyone in the chat. What are we up to now? 423, man. Thanks for coming in on a Saturday morning, man. About 4 hours away from kickoff. We got Michael Pierce extension. And at number 2, our second point of today's live edition of Ravens Reports. Okay, so some voters are considering voting for Lamar Jackson as MVP, but not as a first-team All-Pro quarterback. If history means anything to the process, they should not split the two. This report came out from a pretty reputable source, and I thought it was really intriguing because I think Lamar Jackson's winning the MVP this year. But if he didn't make an All-Pro after winning the MVP, where he's the most valuable player in the entire league, but then you're saying he's not one of the most valuable quarterbacks to make an All-Pro, that doesn't make any sense to me, but we'll see what happens. We definitely have to beat the Steelers today, Adrian says. 100%, man, because I know it doesn't mean anything for the Ravens to win this game against the Steelers, but it does mean something, man. Like, there's a lot of pride between these two organizations and the Steelers and the Ravens, and they have an opportunity to go ahead and knock the Steelers right out of the playoffs. Shout out to King Kaiser for the super chat. What do you think we should do with the free agents we have? Who gets the tag and who gets signed? Cheering for the Ravens from Kansas. Let's go Ravens. Excellent question. First, I got to take a sip of this coffee out of this fire Ravens mug. Got the coffee on deck, as always. That's why I don't know if you guys saw Marlon Humphrey's podcast yesterday on the Punchline podcast, but he says that coffee is not for men. He said real men don't drink coffee. And I 100% disagree with that because I'm a real man and I got the coffee on deck at all times. So your question, King Kaiser, what do you think we should do with the free agents we have? Well, the big free agents that I can think of right off the top of my head is Geno Stone, who leads the NFL this year with safeties and interceptions, 7 interceptions. That's huge. But we know the Ravens also have multiple safeties on their roster that can play football, like Marcus Williams, like Kyle Hamilton, who's on pace to win an All-Pro this season, and Darius Washington, who's coming back from injury, and other guys that can play football. So I think Geno Stone's gone. I wish him the best. I think he's going to make get a nice salary on another team. We'll see what team wants to pursue him. I'm sure there'll be a lot of suitors, but I think Geno Stone's probably gone. I think Patrick Queen is probably gone. That hurts me to say because, man, Patrick Queen has balled out really the last 2 seasons. And even before the Roquan Smith trade, Patrick Queen looked like a different player. Before Roquan Smith came in, Patrick Queen was flying around, making plays, being a leader on this defense. And I absolutely think that he's gone in free agency. I hate to say it, but you can only keep so many guys. We're talking about Eric Decosta, who all these Pro Bowlers on the roster, right? Lamar Jackson, he signed him to a contract. Roquan Smith, he traded for him. Justin Madubuike, he drafted him. Geno Stone, he drafted him. Kyle Hamilton, he drafted him. Tyler Linderbaum, he drafted him. So whenever you're a top-tier franchise and you continually bring in top-tier talent, you're going to have these issues where you can't pay everyone because this is a salary cap-driven league, and you can't just shell out to money to everyone that you want to keep. And so I think Justin Madubuike out of these free agents, he's got to be the guy. Interior pass rush is so valuable, getting right in the face of the quarterback and disrupting plays. He's a force in the run game. He's got 13 sacks on the year. He's making historic numbers, breaking records for the Baltimore Ravens. I think you got to tag Justin Madubuike or sign him to an extension. We did see it. I think at one point the Baltimore Ravens tagged Terrell Suggs, and then during training camp was able to sign him to an extension. That obviously did the same thing with Lamar Jackson, gave him that tag and then signed him to a deal. So I don't think we're going to be able to keep everyone, but if I had to pick, you got to keep Justin Madubuike because pass rush in this pass-happy league is so, so important. That's right. That's why this year this is our year for the Super Bowl, man. Yes, absolutely. The Ravens are in the driver's seat. I think they're the best team in the NFL. The other team that people were saying were the best was the 49ers. And what did the Ravens do? They embarrassed them in their home stadium on Christmas night. Blew them out of their own stadium. I mean, the Ravens are a powerhouse this year. They're an absolute juggernaut. They just beat the Miami Dolphins, embarrassed them, blew them out, and they were without a lot of their top players in that. So at number 3, in our third point of today's live edition of Ravens Report, we got Andrew Adams, the safety, brought up from the practice squad. He's been elevated for today's game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they've also brought up tight end Ben Mason. So this will be Ben Mason's first ever start in a regular season game. I don't know if he's starting, but his first ever game action. And then they also signed Jeremiah Moon to the 53-man roster. So Andrew Adams, some safety depth brought up because there's no way Kyle Hamilton's already been ruled out. I don't think Marcus Williams will probably play. We know Daryl Worley's dealing with, he's been added to the IR. So the Ravens making some roster transactions here to try to field a team because there's absolutely no doubt you're going to have to play some starters in today's game because you just simply don't have enough guys on the roster. And I'm thinking about the running back position right now. And let me know what you guys think in the comments about the running back position. Happy football, Noah. Happy Ravens flock. Shout out to Carla. Appreciate you. Let me know what you guys think about the running back position because check it out. The Ravens, they did not call up a running back from the practice squad for today's game. They called up the fullback and Andrew Adams. So that means that you got Melvin Gordon, who's a running back right now that you would, perceive to get the workload, but there's no way he's playing 100% of the snaps. So that means Justice Hill and or Gus Edwards will be out there against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Two really important running backs on your roster right now that could be risking some injury. So let me know what you guys think about that because that makes me a little bit nervous seeing these guys in a really rain-heavy game, nasty conditions. I'm a little bit nervous about those two running backs getting some action because Melvin Gordon can't take 100% of the snaps here. Shout out to Lucky. Love what you're doing. I watch you every day. I appreciate the love and support, man. It's people like you that keep this thing rolling. We're now up to 600 in a live stream right now. So shout out to you guys. Adrian, are you serious? CMC out? I think CMC is banged up, but I don't think he's out for the year. I'm not sure. You have to keep me up to date on that. So at number 4, the Baltimore Ravens ahead of this this matchup, the real bad rain is it was sleet, but now it's turning into some heavy rain. And I also want to show you guys a couple of things here. So let's take a look. All right, so let me know if you guys can hear the audio here.
Since the day he walked in.
But Robert Saleh had something to say about Dalvin Cook, and I don't know why I just saw this. And I 100% agree that Dalvin Cook should play today, but he's not because he missed his window to be activated from the practice squad. So he's not going to be playing. We're not going to get to see him, and that sucks because I really wanted to see Dalvin Cook get a couple of reps in this offense. You can only call up so many from the practice squad. Absolutely, you're right on, CJ here. That's why some guys are going to have to play. You think this is Snoop's audition to get us a second-round pick? Hey, man, you never know. If they do the RFA tender, someone could fulfill that tender and end up getting the Ravens a nice pick. Shout out to Stifey. Love your videos. Excited for the postseason. Raw back, man. Tanja. Appreciate you, Tanja, for coming in. Always showing the love and support. Great stream. Let's go. Why is Gus playing? Because, like we said, man, you can only they didn't call up Dalvin Cook. They didn't call up Jake Funk. So that means, Melvin Gordon can't take 100% of snaps. Either Gus or Justice is getting some snaps, and I don't feel great about that. What are your top matchups for today's matchup? Well, Tyler Huntley likes throwing to the tight end, and the Steelers have not been great against defending the tight end. And I think there's some linebackers that they could expose there. So I'm looking for Charlie Kohler to have a big day against these Pittsburgh Steelers. So that's the matchup I'm looking for today. Drippy Productions, shout out. Let's go Ravens, baby. Also a big fan, bro. Appreciate you. So why Malik Cunningham taking some reps, taking some snaps today? Yeah, so he's listed as the number 3 quarterback, but John Harbaugh said he could get some reps at wide receiver. Now you think about the Ravens wide receivers, this is another piece that makes me a little bit nervous. You know why this makes me nervous? It's going to be Tylan Wallace. If you're in 11 personnel, think about it, at least 3 wide receivers got to be out there. You got Laquan Treadwell, you got Tylan Wallace, and then who else? One of the big names is going to have to be out there. Maybe Rashad Bateman. I don't know why I just had balloons come across my stream. But whatever, we'll roll with it. But who else is going to be playing at the wide receiver position? You're going to have to either throw out Nelson Aguilar, who's a big piece, a veteran piece, who's won a Super Bowl, who's an excellent leader, or you're going to have to play Rashad Bateman. You're not playing Odell Beckham Jr. He was already ruled out. So Malik Cunningham, Laquan Treadwell, and Tylan Wallace are going to be the 3 guys, trying to take those snaps at the wide receiver position. Shout out to Frank, great channel. Keep up the great work. Edward, appreciate you as well. Hey, no, I'm a big fan. Appreciate what you always do. You're always on point, man. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the support, man. What is your score prediction for the game today? Hadn't thought about this too much, but let's go with Ravens 28, Pittsburgh Steelers 17. I don't think that even against second stringers and guys that aren't always normal starters, where are the purple shades? I got the purple shades right here. But we got to save them for special occasions. Use tight ends, offensive scheme. Yeah. So we could be seeing a lot more of Ben Mason, who's being called up. Ben Mason and Charlie Kohler could get a lot of work today, a lot of action. And yes, that's why we're doing this stream. Justin Holt says, just extended Big Mike. Yes, a huge part of this defense. Now, I want to see if you guys can hear this clip, because here's what the head coach of the Jets, Robert Saleh, said on the release of Dalvin Cook.
That's for everybody, I guess. You know what? Dalvin's been an unbelievable.
You guys hear the audio? Let me know.
Since the day he walked in here. Obviously, it hasn't gone the way any of us have wanted. He's been an unbelievable teammate, unbelievable mentor to the young guys, and I know he's been hurting, not physically, but just wanting to be out there to be able to help the team. But he's put aside all his frustrations and showed up with a smile on his face, energy in practice, and being attentive in meetings. And he's been an unbelievable teammate, and whatever opportunity he gets, I know he's going to be great.
So basically says there he's been an excellent teammate, that he's had the right mentality, that he's been hurting, not physically, but hurting to get out there and contribute and help out his teammates. And he says that he's going to be an excellent addition to whatever team that he goes to. And shout out to Dalvin Cook. Shout out. Let's look up Dalvin Cook right here, because here's what. Let's take a look here. Dalvin Cook. I'm going to show you guys this because it was really interesting. Here he is right here. Go to his likes. And here you go. The Baltimore Ravens made it official. He's fired up to be joining a contender for a playoff run. If you didn't see the video yesterday, we did do some film study. And Dalvin Cook, man, I told you in the film study from yesterday's video, the Jets' offense was miserable. They're one of the worst statistical offenses in the league. But when you actually go and watch the tape, man, it's bad. I mean, they try to throw a screen and the wide receivers don't block it, or they try to run power and one of their guards blocks the wrong defender, or they try to throw the football and they get smoked in pass protection or completely miss the throw, or it's just terrible. They can't get a pass game going. They can't get a run game going. They've had miserable quarterback play. And quite frankly, I'm not trying to sit here and bash on Nathaniel Hackett, their offensive coordinator, but it didn't look great whenever he was with the Broncos, and it doesn't look great now that he's with the Jets. So I don't know. Well, it remains to be seen there, but the scheme has not looked good. It doesn't look well coordinated, and it looks very, very disjointed from my perspective. So the Ravens getting Dalvin Cook, I think it's going to be night and day difference. I think he's going to look like a different player. Irene, I absolutely agree that I want to see Cook play today, but we're not going to because he's on the practice squad. The Ravens missed their window to activate him, and he's not playing because he literally can't. It's an administrative rule, but it sucks because I really wanted to see him get some action today. He also likes he liked this here from Dalvin from his head coach, like we showed. And he liked this tweet from Tom Pelissero. And then you go back a little bit, and he's got that connection with Zay Flowers and Lamar Jackson. But he was liking some love on Zay Flowers here before he even got signed. And then you go back a little bit further, and we got the Zay Flowers play, the highlight there. And it says Zay Flowers playmaker on December 31st, and he gave that one a like too. So he's already got the connection with some of these guys. And if you didn't see it, if you're already new to the live stream here from Brian McFarland, he said a couple of days ago that the Ravens could sign a veteran, extend a veteran, because they've done it in previous years, because it allows the proration of the first year's bonus to present on this year's cap, not next year. And that's why Eric Decosta, man, is among the best in the NFL. This is our house, Ravens flock. We don't like the Steelers at all. Absolutely. It's going to get nasty. And we got John Doe. I guess you're a Steelers fan. TJ Watt, he says, if you're fired up about TJ Watt trying to sack Tyler Huntley to save your season as the Ravens are rolling in hot with the number 1 seed in the NFL, then I feel sorry for your fan base, my brother. Liam Draper, where are the hot takes? You want some hot takes? All right. It is Saturday, so we got to roll in with the hot take Saturday. I hadn't thought about this much, but here we go. Melvin Gordon, 100 rushing yards. Melvin Gordon, the veteran, man. Did you see him last week? Power into the end zone, did not want to go down. And did you see his teammates, how fired up they were whenever he came in and he barreled into the end zone? His team, and I always say this. You can tell how a locker room feels about a football player based on their reaction when they make a play. Now, usually they always celebrate, but there's some guys, man, the locker room, the sideline just explodes for. Melvin Gordon, man, that had that type of that impact where, they're fired up for their guy, Melvin Gordon. Do you see Odell returning next year? I would absolutely love to. I hope so, but I don't know. The cap space is looking pretty tight right now. The Ravens still have Rashad Bateman under contract. They have their rookie wide receiver, Zay Flowers. So we'll see. They could bring back Nelson Aguilar maybe. I don't know if they can afford to bring back Odell Beckham Jr. because he put some really good things on tape this year, and some other teams might be fired up to go and try to get him. I hope Ravens win with all backups. They very well could. They can't, like we said, they can't play with all their backups, but with many of them. So let's see if we have anything else to show you guys here. So from Jonas Schaefer on Twitter. So we know we got the Michael Pierce extension. This was in Michael Pierce's career at 31 years old, the most snaps he's ever had, the most starts he's ever had, the most quarterback pressures he's ever had, all while dropping into coverage way more often than you'd expect from a nose tackle. So 100%, man. Shout out to Eric Decosta for getting it done. Shout out to Michael Pierce, because if you guys can remember earlier in the offseason, do you know what he said? He said his goal was to stay healthy and that he was doing different things with his body, stretching, different types of rehab and therapy to keep his body right. And man, did that work, because Michael Pierce, he's been healthy all year. I hope Ravens draft a wide receiver, Xavier Legette. Man, that guy's a dog. What is it, South Carolina that he plays for? Big, physical, can run. Man, we're going to have a lot of draft content for you this year, but I like Legette as well. Good time to put Cook in the rotation today. I would love to see it, but like we said, man, it's not going to happen because he hasn't been activated administratively. They can't do it. Snoop Huntley, this is your time to shine. I absolutely think that Tyler Huntley is about to put on a clinic, slice this Pittsburgh Steelers defense all up in the rain and knock them right out of the postseason. And I'm excited for this game, even though it doesn't mean much for the Baltimore Ravens. I'm excited for this game to watch it, man. Snoop, time to prove he is a Pro Bowler. Do you remember, man, Pro Bowl Tyler Huntley last year? Shout out to Tyler Huntley. And here we go. Let's see what else we had to show you guys. So here's the official numbers from Field Yates. The Ravens and starting defensive tackle Michael Pierce have agreed to a 2-year, $7.5 million extension, contract extension to the 2025 season per source. The 31-year-old has 37 tackles, a sack, a forced fumble, and a pair of fumble recoveries this season. Shout out to Michael Pierce, man, for continuing to ball out, be a rock in this Baltimore Ravens defense. He did win the accuracy contest in the Pro Bowl. Shout out, man. If you guys have any more questions you want to, throw in the chat here, I'll try to answer as many as possible. That receiver is my first-round pick. We need to beat these Steelers after giving up the first game. Absolutely, man. We got to take care of this business. What do you think the biggest surprise for the Ravens today, man? I could see Charlie Kohler having a monster game. I could see Charlie Kohler having like 100 receiving yards. I could see Melvin Gordon having 100 rushing yards. Those are my two hot takes. If Queen leaves, do you think we could get Bobby Wagner? Bobby Wagner, is he a free agent after this year? It's a possibility. We tried to pursue him once, but I don't know. I think the Ravens will probably roll with a young guy at that position. Delshon Phillips has shown some good things. He's a special teams contributor, but has played well in preseason. He could be the next heir apparent to Patrick Queen. We also got Trenton Simpson waiting in the wings, a third-round pick. Sherry Ramirez, shout out to Sherry, always showing love and support. Side note, no, I love your boldness of faith. Yeah, man, you guys know I'm not shy about my faith, so shout out to Sherry. Got to re-sign PQ. I'd love to, but probably not going to happen. Probably not going to happen because of how much he would take on the cap space. Can the Ravens put a first-round tender on Patrick Queen or Justin, just like how they did put a third-round tender on? Yes, they could, but that tag still costs a lot of money. If another team does not fulfill that tender, it's still a very big cap hit. So now Ravens only have a limited amount of space for their cap. Who is starting for the secondary? That's a good question, Penske. Let's dive into this a little bit. I haven't put much thought into this, so we're going to go shoot from the hip here. Brandon Stevens, do you think he's going to play today? Probably not. Marlon Humphrey's already ruled out, so Marlon Humphrey and Brandon Stevens I don't think are playing. So who's the two starting corners? Well, is Jalen Armour-Davis healthy? Has he been ruled out? Jalen Armour-Davis could get some action. Who else we got? We got the safety Andrew Adams. He's definitely going to get a start today. We got Pepe. Good point. We do have Pepe. Has he been activated though? Because I know Pepe returned to practice, but has he been activated? I'm not sure. Sherry says I think he is out. So yeah, man, this is a Darby. Yeah, absolutely, Darby. Rocky Yassin, Millette. So your starters are probably going to be Darby, Andrew Adams at safety, Rocky Yassin, and Millette in the slot. That's probably going to be your guys. Maybe Pepe if he's ready to go. Or Darius Washington, he's actually so here you go, Joseph. I like this question here. See if I can grab this comment real quick. Do you think the Ravens target any big names in free agency? Well, I don't think they will because they have their own problems to take care of. But you want to know who like my top free agent target is besides Justin Madubuike on our own team? My top free agent target that he's going to get a lot of money, but I'd be willing to part ways with a lot of that money is Michael Pittman of the Colts. Michael Pittman. This guy is a dog. He's a beast over the middle of the football field, which Lamar Jackson loves to throw to. He can win on the outside. He's got contested catch ability. He can go up and moss a ball out of the air. He's a great red zone threat. He's also got speed. Is an underrated route runner as well. And I think Michael Pittman and Lamar Jackson with Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman would be scary hours, game over for NFL defenses. Shout out to Jeremiah. Can't have the PQ argument right now. I'd want to get Mike Evans. Do you think Javian Clowney will reach double-digit sacks today? Whoo, man, that would be nice because, he did say that was a goal of his, that he wanted to get to double-digit sacks. But at the same time, yeah, Jamin said, I've been saying to get Michael Pittman. I want Michael Pittman bad. But do you think Jadeveon Clowney would get double-digit sacks today? Probably not, man. I don't think they're going to give him enough reps in a game that doesn't quote unquote matter. He's a big part of your pass rush, one of your sack leaders. How much time do you want to give him? I think it'll be a lot of Jeremiah Moon and Tavius Robinson taking the starts today, the young boys up front to try to get after the quarterback. I don't see a lot of Jadeveon Clowney and Kyle Van Noy getting a lot of reps. Odafe Owe, maybe. I don't know, man. It's tough because, again, you have a limited amount of guys. They could probably going to play Malik Harrison at some Malik Harrison's definitely going to start because Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith aren't going to play. So you're going to see Trenton Simpson. You're going to see Delshon Phillips. You're going to see Malik Harrison, and Brent Urban goes off. Very possible. Did Urban play for – no, I'm thinking of someone else. Urban didn't play for the Steelers. He played for the Cowboys. There was one player, it was Chris Wormley. That's who I'm thinking of, that we traded to the Steelers. Malik is out. Tavius Robinson, he's going to get a lot of snaps today. ADC mentioned in the Lounge podcast the reason they turned down his fifth-year option was more of a salary cap economics than he wanted to resign. Absolutely. I think Eric Decosta and Patrick Queen, from the clips and stuff I've seen, it looks like they have a nice relationship. And I think that they truly want Patrick Queen back, but I don't think it's going to be able to happen without him taking some type of discount. Because, man, we got some cap issues coming up. Not necessarily cap issues, but so many talented players. And Justin Madubuike, if you want to keep him your sack leader, man, then you're probably going to have to part ways. What happened to Ham? Yeah, he had his 21-day practice window, and he was practicing but did not get activated. So his season is done. Very sad to say because I like Malik Ham a lot. Just have to say it was so smart picking up Clowney and Van Noy. Shout out to Craig. Dalvin Cook in the playoffs. Absolutely. I do think Dalvin Cook in the playoffs will be a factor. Like we said, if you're just now tuning in, Dalvin Cook, I watched him film, and he looks better than the stats may show. He's a good third down back. He can catch the football. He's still got some burst, and he just didn't get used a lot with the Jets. And even his head coach said whenever he was released, man, this guy's going to go and have some success somewhere else. He just wasn't getting a lot of workload there with Breece Hall there. Justin turned down extension offers. Yes, he did. He was offered a contract extension because he wanted to bet on himself. And he was right on betting on himself because this man just made himself over $20 million per year. That's what it is. That's how much Justin Madubuike is going to get paid, at least $20 million a year. That's where it starts. That's where the conversation starts. Anything less than that, don't even come out on the table with that. That's the type of production, the type of elite play that he's produced on the football field this year. Mad Dog Bite, do you think Mark Andrews will play in the playoffs? Man, when I was at the game against the Dolphins and they showed him on the Jumbotron sitting next to Odell Beckham Jr., and Odell Beckham Jr. started kind of dancing and pointing to Mark Andrews, and the crowd went nuts, man. Mark Andrews is a fan favorite, and he was walking around on the sideline. He was on the football field, pregame, not working out, but walking around well. So that means you're probably thinking that he's at least somewhere in the rehab process. If he's walking around like that comfortably without a boot, that he's getting closer. That's my thoughts on the matter. And I think that he could, if I had to predict, I would say the Ravens would probably keep it pretty hush until like last second. Like he's probably going to be doing some pretty hard rehab, getting some work in behind the scenes, and then all of a sudden return to practice like right before a big game to try to keep it hush to the opponent that's trying to prepare for the Baltimore Ravens offense. And then all of a sudden say, crap, now I got to deal with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely and Zay Flowers and Lamar Jackson and Justice Hill and Odell Beckham Jr. Whew, man, Mark Andrews back for a playoff run would be something special. If I had to predict if the Ravens get to the AFC Championship, hopefully they will, because they only got to win one game to get there. They only got to win one game to get to the AFC Championship. How's that sound? How's that sound right there, man? That's what the number one seed does for you. You get home field advantage all throughout the playoffs. And here we go we get Mark Andrews back for AFC Championship run, that would be incredible. The energy in the stadium would be insane. And thoughts on Bateman this season? I think he's playing his best football as the year has gone on. Shout out to Mario for the comment, the question here. And I think Rashad Bateman I think he's going to have a monster season next year. I think he's a little bit down this year because of some of the confidence, some of the injuries, some of the stuff he's dealt with off the football field. He's gone through a lot recently, but I do think Rashad Bateman, I don't know if he'll get his 5th-year option picked up, but he's still got year number, 3 and 4? Or is he in? So he's in his sophomore year right now, right? Or is he in his 3rd year? Why am I drawing a blank on that? Regardless, I think Rashad Bateman's going to have a monster year for the Ravens next year because it's just a matter of time. Him and Lamar Jackson, I mean, I predicted a 100-yard game or an 80-yard game for Rashad Bateman. He could have easily went for 100 yards last week against the Dolphins if he simply caught that ball whenever he was coming down and it made contact with the ground. I still thought it was a catch. It looked like a catch from my live view in the stadium and what they showed on the Jumbotron, but I love me some Rashad Bateman. I think he's an excellent route runner. I think he's made of the right stuff mentally. He's got speed. He runs a 4.4. He can break defenders' ankles. He can run after catch. He just needs to gain back the full health, the confidence, and the chemistry back with Lamar Jackson. And I think he can actually be a Pro Bowl type of wide receiver. You guys know I'm super high on Rashad Bateman's talent. So one of the questions here, let me see if I can find it. It asked, shout out to Terry, says Bateman looks good. He does, man. He gets open. He runs crisp routes. It's just he hasn't got the football a lot of times when he has been open, to be honest, because I don't think he's been a part of like the top progressions in the route tree. So will Cook play today? No, he will not play today. How long is J.K. Dobbins under contract? There was another question asking if we should bring him back. That's a great question. I appreciate all the questions rolling in here. J.K. Dobbins is a free agent after this year. And that's crazy to say because he was drafted in 2020. Anytime he's been on the football field with us, he looks like an all-pro, Pro Bowl running back. Tons of burst, tackle breaking ability. Looks like a dog out there, and that he just can't stay healthy. It's not his. I'm not saying it's his fault. He's had some freak injuries like Achilles tear, had his knee snapped up in a preseason game, so it sucks because J.K. Dobbins is so talented. But he's a free agent after this year. So the Ravens could have the option to offer him a deal and say, hey, if you want a 1-year prove-it deal and, go try to make some more money after this, they could offer him a 1-year prove-it deal to kind of give him some help and some opportunities if other teams are scared of signing him due to the injury risk or whatever. But I think J.K. Dobbins is super talented, and he's a free agent after this year. Let's see if there's some other questions here. I want Allen from Wisconsin. I think you're referring to Braylon Allen, right? The big physical. I think he's like a 6'2", 230 running back. Reminds me a little bit of Gus Edwards, but he's younger and he's got some juice in those legs. Absolutely, man. He's one of my favorite draft targets this year. Will we resign Cook? It's a possibility, depending on how he looks, man. If he's a big part of a Super Bowl run and he's breaking off big runs and scoring touchdowns and having nice catches out of the backfield, it's absolutely in the cards for us to bring back Dalvin Cook. And then Mitchell is the nail in JK's coffin. It's a possibility. Hopefully Mitchell is 100% ready to go by training camp when that rolls around. But that was a really nasty injury, and that was a big blow. And this is what I'm talking about earlier. Eric Decosta is so talented at bringing in talent, if that makes sense. He's so talented at bringing in talent that whenever you have your top running back go down, J.K. Dobbins, no worries. We got Gus. We got Justice. We got this undrafted kid out of ECU and Keaton Mitchell, who's going to look like a stinking all-pro running back with stinking jets on his back, right? Like super 4.2 speed. And then Mitchell goes down after he's starting to break out, and you're like, oh, well, no worries, because we still got Justice Hill. Then he goes out and has a 130-yard game against the Dolphins, catching passes, catching wheel routes, breaking off explosive runs, and you still got Gus Edwards with 13 touchdowns. You got your safeties going down, like Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Williams, who's missed some times, or Darius Washington. But then you have all these depth, like all this depth. Then you had, like last game, Kevin Zeitler goes down. Ben Cleveland steps in, has the best game of his career, and gives up 0 pressures, 0 sacks, and Terry says here, ACL tear, Keaton going to be good. I hope so. I did see that it wasn't as bad as they originally anticipated as far as how clean it was. So that's great stuff. Clean ACL tear. Good stuff here. We lose a player and have Pro Bowlers in them. Absolutely. Like Geno Stone. Like Geno Stone is one of the best safeties in the NFL. You can't tell me that he's not. Whenever he has 7 interceptions in a limited amount of snaps, he hasn't even started that much, and he still has 7 interceptions. And you have a guy like Geno Stone that just steps up, man. Eric Decosta has built a legendary roster. The Browns scare me the most. Let's talk about this. Let me know in the comment section below. Let me know in the chat. Who are you most, I don't want to say scared of, because as a Ravens, I ain't scared of nobody this year. The only team that could beat the Ravens is the Ravens this year. They're built to beat anybody. They can beat you in a shootout, in a passing game, in a physical dog fight running game. They can force turnovers. They lead the league in sacks and turnovers. They have the #1 scoring defense. They have an explosive offense, an MVP, 2-time MVP probably, quarterback under the helm with elite coaching staff in place with Mike McDonald, Todd Monken orchestrating it all, John Harbaugh's leadership. Man, this team is elite. Like I ain't scared of nobody. But let me know in the comments what team gets you most worried, most concerned, for a playoff run. I know who it is for me. And that team for me is a team that might not even make the playoffs. For me, the team that I'm most concerned about is the Buffalo Bills. First of all, the Buffalo Bills have a nice defense with Von Miller, some talented secondary players. They're physical. Then they have a nice defensive coordinator, defensive-minded head coach there, and Sean McDermott. Then they have a Josh Allen-led team offense with Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, James Cook, the rookie tight end, Dawson Knox. Man, they got some talent. And the Buffalo Bills look like a different team in the second half of the year, but they got off to such a bad start early in the year before they fired their offensive coordinator that it might come back to bite them and they might not make the playoffs. But yes, absolutely what I'm saying here, the Bills are really hot right now, but I definitely think the Browns would be more likely to beat us. I ain't scared of the Browns because look at what the Ravens have done to like stationary quarterbacks this year. They made Brock Purdy look like Johnny Manziel. Like they made Brock Purdy look like garbage. And he was literally in the MVP lead. He had the highest odds before he played the Baltimore Ravens, and he forced him into 4 interceptions because he can't move around like some of the other quarterbacks that the Ravens have had struggles against. The only team that this defense has really struggled against this year, where I can truly say, like, yeah, we had some struggles on defense, was against Deshaun Watson. Because Deshaun Watson was running all around, making plays, making beautiful throws downfield as well. And they had a strong offensive line and run game. But I think it was more Deshaun Watson having his best game in recent history than it was the Browns. Like the Ravens have been able to score against the Browns. Both times, I believe we put up over 28 points against the Browns. I think one time we put up like 31 or 35. The other time we put up 28. So the Ravens have found something in that Browns defense, especially I think they can get advantageous matchups against their linebackers. The Browns linebackers have not been excellent in coverage this year. And Emerson as well. I think Zay Flowers was cooking Emerson. Rashad Bateman had some success against Emerson. So the Browns defense has some holes that you can exploit. And if you can, keep Myles Garrett from wrecking the game, double him, slow him down, chip him, and the Ravens have a unique scheme in which they can slow down the Browns because they have a guy named Patrick Ricard. And not a lot of teams have a guy named Patrick Ricard or somebody like him. In fact, nobody does, because this was a guy that literally was working out as an offensive guard in training camp this year, as to possibly compete for a guard position. He also started his NFL career as an interior defensive lineman getting sacks. Like, this guy's a unicorn. He's a freak. And whenever you get that much muscle moving in motion, and then whenever you bring him around in motion to seal off Myles Garrett, and he gets hit by Patrick Ricard a couple times, he's like, bro, I'm used to being the bully. I'm tired of getting hit by this big, truck of a man and Patrick Ricard. So they can loosen Myles Garrett up a little bit with Patrick Ricard. I've seen it multiple times. They can also slow him, slow that pass rush down with the run game and get physical and play bully football. So I think I'm not as scared of the Browns as other people are. I'm also not scared of Joe Flacco. The last time Joe Flacco played the Ravens, he threw multiple interceptions, had 9 points, And I think that this defense would provide major, major issues and headache for the Browns offense. Their biggest weapon right now, the Browns' biggest weapon on offense right now is David Njoku, who as soon as Joe Flacco came in has looked like an all-pro tight end. But the Ravens have an all-pro safety on the other side that can completely erase David Njoku, and that's Kyle Hamilton. So I think Kyle Hamilton, this Ravens defense, Roquan Smith, I ain't scared of the Browns. I'll tell you straight up, I ain't scared of the Browns. We ain't scared of nobody, says Corey. Yeah, my biggest concern, if I had to pick one, would probably be the Buffalo Bills. But again, and then I guess you can throw in the Chiefs. The Chiefs don't look that good this year, but then you always got to count on, like, you know, Patrick Mahomes can just turn into Superman any game, just like how Lamar Jackson can. We've seen it where Patrick Mahomes can take over a game, just like Lamar Jackson can take over a game. And we've seen Travis Kelce, what he can do. And, you know, you can't count out the Chiefs, even though they look down. Some teams, when it comes playoff time, they turn it on and it look like a different team. So Pat is such a weapon. Roman was misusing. Yeah, shout out to Patrick, because we just hit 900, by the way. So shout out to you guys. Smash the like button if you're getting any value out of today's live stream. If you're enjoying it, man, I appreciate you guys. But Pat is such a weapon. Roman was misusing. How about that one-handed snag from Patrick Ricard for the touchdown? So you got this guy making one-handed snags in the end zone on a little like leak route where he's looking like he's going to block. And then you also have him pounding guys and Pancake Pat laying the punishment, man. So shout out to Patrick Ricard and shout out to Todd Monken, because true elite offensive coordinators like Todd Monken, who won 2 back-to-back, national titles there with Georgia with that offense that he was coordinating. But true elite offensive coordinators will look at their guys, look at the situation they have, and then employ them. It's like if you're, like I'm in the Marine Corps, right? I'm in the military, and you look at your guys, your strengths, and then you look how you can attack the enemy, right? So like Todd Monken is looking at weaknesses and looking at his guys' strengths. And then you have a guy that, so shout out to Todd Monken, because he did not give up. And a lot of people, a lot of Ravens fans were saying that we weren't even going to use Patrick Ricard. Maybe that's why he was going to guard, right? Because they were saying that, we weren't going to use him with this new scheme with Todd Monken, but he found a way for in big time moments to use him in the run game, to get physical, to get powerful. He also uses him as a pass protector, helping out the offensive line. So shout out to Todd Monken for looking at his personnel and not trying to fit the personnel that the Ravens had into his box, into his idea for the Ravens offense. He looked at the Ravens weapons, the Ravens tools that they had, and then employed them to the best of their ability. So shout out to Patrick Ricard and shout out to Todd Monken. I need a sip of coffee because I'm getting a little too fired up. Really, Devin, who's sitting out today? So I think the official, let's see if we can go ahead and find, keep asking questions while I try to find the official injury report where they did rule guys out already, and then we'll give you that actual answer. So here we go. Looking at the Baltimore Ravens official injury reports. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Like we said, man, make sure to hit that like button if you're enjoying today's content. I'm fired up. We're about 3.5 hours or so from the kickoff today, and I'm excited for this game. So here we go. Here's the official injury report. So officially ruled out, to answer your question, we have Odell Beckham Jr. He's not playing. He's getting an injury, or he's getting a rest coaching decision. So he's not dealing with anything, but just didn't practice all week to get his body and mind right for playoff Odell Beckham Jr. type of play. So he's out. He's not playing. We also got Malik Harrison. So I completely misspoke earlier. So you guys have to forgive me on that, because I said Malik Harrison would probably get a start today, but he's out because he has a groin issue. Marlon Humphrey, he's ruled out with a calf. He did aggravate that calf on the kick blocking team on that extra point trying to block it. Lamar Jackson, he's listed as a non-injury related rest coaching decision. Arthur Marlette, he's listed as questionable. So we'll see if he gets to play. The other 2 outs that we have is Daryl Worley. He's been added to the IR, and then Kevin Zeitler who he worked out before the game against the Dolphins. Saw him trying to work it out there on the field, but just didn't feel good enough, didn't feel right. And so he did not practice all week. He's been ruled out with a coach's decision / knee and quad. So there's our official outs. Odell Beckham Jr., Malik Harrison, Marlon Humphrey, Lamar Jackson. We got Darryl Worley and Kevin Zeitler. So that means technically Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith are suiting up. Are they actually going to play? We'll see. I don't think they're going to get much playing time, if any, but you never know, man. The Ravens may just say, let's go and win this football game, knock the Steelers out of the playoffs, and then get healthy, get a bye week after that, and roll from there. So let's see. Why is Marlowe trying to block extra points anyway? That's a good question because I was irritated about that. I'm like, why is our top corner, who we need for a playoff run, trying to block an extra point? Like, it's not even like the game's on the line and they're about to kick the game-winning field goal, and you're like, bro, go out there and try to block it because you're one of our best football players and you have speed and aggression and all these things, right? But no, it was an extra point, and I'm like, bro, what's going on? But he did say on his podcast, on the Punchline podcast, that he did request to be on that unit. So I guess I can't throw too much shade on the coaching staff because it was his request and his idea to do it. Let's see if there's any questions here. Do you think the Ravens will make any trades to move up in the draft? Is there anyone worth moving up for? Well, I do think that if there's a guy that you would want to move up for, I think it's going to be an offensive tackle, because you look at the Ravens offensive tackle situation, and Morgan Moses and Ronnie Stanley are both getting a little bit older. Both have dealt with injury, and you need a young guy to come in and get groomed up and take the reins. If one of those guys either moves on, the Ravens could cut Ronnie and save a significant amount of cap space if they want to part ways with Ronnie. But also, Ronnie said in his interview on the Lounge podcast yesterday that he still feels like he can play like 2019 Ronnie, and that he still feels like he can play. And he just hasn't been healthy. So he's had to adapt his technique. And that's why I think you're seeing that he is starting to play better over the last few games. He had a really good game against the Dolphins last week. So, yeah. He says Falele's been doing well at right tackle. I don't know about that. I have to go back and watch the All-22 to give you my 100% like opinion on that. But I also got to say, I don't think that Daniel Falele necessarily fits the type of scheme that we're trying to run with Todd Monken now, because this is a team that likes to, I know we still run the ball, but this is a team that instead of running a lot of the power that we would just stick with Greg Roman, likes to run some zone. You need some more athletic tackles for that. And I don't know if he's a great scheme fit. We also need an agile guy for pass protection, because this is really turning into a spread attack, an offense that has a lot of 11 personnel, getting the ball out to the weapons and spreading the ball around. I don't know if Falele is the best long-term fit. I do like Falele, though. Maybe he'd be a solid backup. Shout out to King Kaiser again, man. Do you think anyone's contract gets restructured? It's a good question. Going back to the Ronnie Stanley thing, if Ronnie wants to stay with the Ravens and the Ravens say, hey, let's run it back another year. Let's play again. Let's see if he can stay healthy. And then maybe draft a tackle in the first, second, or third round, groom him up to be Ronnie's replacement. Maybe if they go to Ronnie and said, hey, we're either going to have to let you go or restructure. If Ronnie would do that and restructure, maybe take a pay cut, it's possible. Some other guys I can think of, maybe Odell Beckham. You know, they could try to get an extension / restructure with him if they want to keep him around. Who do you think will have as wide receivers next season? Great question, Lonnie. We're 100% going to have Bateman and Zay Flowers. That's a great start. That's a great start right there in and of itself, to roll into a season with my number 1 and number 2 receivers being Rashad Bateman, who was a number. Let's go back a second. In 2022, before Bateman went down, he had multiple games over 100 receiving yards, and Lamar Jackson was like averaging 30 more passing yards per game, 30 higher passer rating. Like, Rashad Bateman was making plays all over the football field in 2022, just last year before he went down with injury. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. This year, he had, I think, another foot procedure, and then had to gain that confidence back, had some drops, had some issues off the field. But I do think Rashad Bateman is super talented. So Bateman is capable of being a number one or a solid number two receiver, in my opinion. I think the talent's there. Do I know if that'll show up and produce? I don't know. I can't read the future, but I think he's capable of it. And I think Bateman and Zay Flowers is a heck of a start for your two receivers going into next year. I don't know. Is Tylan Wallace, is his third year or fourth year? So we could have Tylan Wallace, Rashad Bateman, and then Zay Flowers. That's a nice little trio there. Then we have, I think Devin Duvernay is a free agent after this year. I believe we drafted Duvernay in 2020, or was it 2019? No, I think it was 2020. So this will be maybe his last year. Likely can play well in the slot for real. Like if we roll with a lot of 12 personnel, like these two tight ends, like if next year we're rolling with Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, Isaiah Likely, and Mark as your top four receiving threats, I would not be upset with that at all. Would not be upset if we're rolling a lot of 12 personnel, because then you're going to give a lot of problems to defenses who because Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely could still be a threat to run block. And then you would also have the opportunity to get those guys out in space, run the seams, threaten vertically, yards after catch. Man, I love the tight ends. I love this team. Shout out to Sip to Tally. Love your stuff, Sip to Tally, man. We got to get together sometime and do some work. Love the base for this team. The base, the key pieces are there. That's what we're talking about. Chin up, chest out. Go Man says we want all the smoke. Absolutely, man. We want all the smoke. And that's something that Roquan Smith talked about. Like, we want it. Line them up. We'll knock them down. I'm going to have to put together like the best of clips for Roquan Smith or something and just show you all the crazy quotes he's had this year over the last 2 years, because this guy's like a walking headline machine. Like he's so high energy, so passionate. He's genuine. All the guys buy in. He's such an elite leader, man. Shout out to Sherry. Appreciate you, Sherry, for always supporting the channel. Dude, off topic, where'd you get that amazing shield in the background? That thing is fire, I think. That's what the emoji is. The shield in the background I got from Dave's 3D Woodworking on Twitter. If you search Dave's 3D Woodworking, I think it is, you DM him, and then you should be able to figure that out. What about Nelson? Nelson, he's a free agent after this year. He was signed for a 1-year deal. I would love to see him brought back, though, because the guy has been a threat, man. I know he hasn't lit up the stat sheet, but he was one of Lamar Jackson's favorite red zone targets in training camp. You saw that show up. He's had a few touchdowns this year. He's a consistent, like, third down chain mover type of guy where he moves the football in big time scenarios. Sip Tally says, I'm with it. Just hit me. Absolutely. I will, man. We'll get together sometime. Nelly Aguilar playing. Yes, he'll be playing today. Do we sign receivers out of the draft or free agency? Well, because you think about this, right? Receivers, Eric Decosta is a really smart, cerebral guy. And this is why the original reason for this live stream was because he signed Michael Pierce, which actually allowed the pro rating for the bonus to be on this year's cap, not next year, because he's thinking ahead. He's playing chess, not checkers. He's smart. Well, the average annual value of the wide receiver position is the second highest in the league, ahead of left tackle even now. So the most expensive positions to roster on your team is number 1 quarterback, number 2 wide receiver, because this is a pass-happy league, and we know these guys impact the game monumentally. So what's a way that you can get an advantage on the salary cap? Well, you keep drafting wide receivers because they're expensive, and if you don't have to pay for them, you can get them on rookie deals. You can do something like the Rams do all the stinking time, get a Cooper Kupp in like the 5th round of the draft, get a Puka Nacua in the 5th round of the draft. That's how you build an advantage. So, yeah, if you can continue to hit on wide receivers, and by the way, I can confidently say that Zay Flowers was a hit, broke the rookie receiving record for the Baltimore Ravens. This guy is a dog. I really wanted to see him get to 1,000 yards as a rookie. He could have if he played against the Steelers this week, but I don't think he's going to start. We'll see. Who's starting? Good question here from D Goods Roost. Who's the starting O-line next year? Both guards are out unless we re-sign. So don't forget, we have a guy by the name of Andrew Voorhees that we did draft because this was a guy in the combine, mind you, like tore his ACL in the workouts and then still went and was like, I ain't done yet. Like, I ain't going to run those other drills, but I'm going to run the bench press. And then just hammered the bench press with a stinking in pain, torn ACL in his knee. And the Ravens were like, bro, I'm going to draft you just for that, right? But Andrew Voorhees, keep in mind, this guy was projected to be a second, third, or fourth round pick. I think he was probably going to go in the third round. So a talented guard, for a guard to go that early it's a pretty big deal. And then he, got hurt, can't play this year, and then he fell in the draft. And the Ravens still drafted him. I think they traded back up into the 7th round to get him. And so it was a huge, smart move. Again, another example. I can show you so many examples where Eric Decosta is just making really smart, cerebral moves to get ahead. That was another example. So Andrew Voorhees, Trenton Simpson, John Simpson, not Trenton Simpson. Is he a free agent? Let me know if he's a free agent. Because I think he's played decent at guard this year. This team is, and then we also got Ben Cleveland. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think our guy Sip here is a Ben Cleveland fan. Let me know, Sip, in the comments if you're high on Ben Cleveland, right? Could be a mistake in there. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I thought Ben Cleveland played really well last week against the Dolphins. Gave up 0 sacks, 0 pressures. So as far as the wide receivers next year, we got Zay, Bateman, Nelly, and draft someone. That's a possibility. I don't think Nelly would cost a lot of money if you want to bring him back, and he really seems to like this offense, the coaching staff, and Lamar Jackson. So yeah, he is cheaper. That is true, Brandon. He is cheaper than Odell Beckham Jr. He will not command nearly as much money as Odell Beckham Jr., but you're almost getting similar type of production, and you're definitely getting good leadership out of Nelson Aguilar. So that could be a route that the Ravens go for. I think this would be wild, man. This would be wild because I've seen this actually talked about. So I had to put it up on the screen here. Imagine Hollywood and Flowers if Hollywood would have been patient. Well, it's crazy. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think Hollywood is actually a free agent after this year because he was drafted in 2019, and then his contract would expire in 2024 because I don't think he had the 5th-year option picked up. So I think he's a free agent after this year. And we also got Michael Pittman. You guys know I was talking about Michael Pittman earlier. That would be my dream. Probably not going to happen because he'll get a lot of money, but Michael Pittman would be a dog. Sip to Tally says he is a fan of Ben Cleveland. So wouldn't be surprised if we saw Ben Cleveland and then Andrew Voorhees at our starting guards next year. That's a very possibility. Ajabo, also not big on. Man, that was really disappointing because I was super high on David Ajabo. The guy was so disruptive, so talented, so much physical, skill and natural pass rush feel coming out of college. And it was very apparent that even whenever he was on the field during preseason that he was dealing with something. He didn't look full speed. He didn't look confident. So I think David Ajabo has been dealing with something for a while. I think it turned out that he had like a partial tear of an ACL or something and then got it surgically repaired. I think that's what happened. Could be wrong on that. So yeah, believe who was Kyle Hamilton's trash talk towards. This was funny because if you saw in the Punchline podcast, Marlon Humphrey was talking about who's like the best trash talkers on the team. And Marlon Humphrey says that Kyle Hamilton had a really nasty, hurtful trash talk to one of the former players for the Ravens and basically said, they got me because they didn't want you. Like, they didn't want you. That's why they got me, big dog. So it was either, people were saying it was either Chuck Clark of the Jets or Deshaun Elliott, which I don't think it was Deshaun Elliott because he was I think he was a free agent 2 or 3 years ago. So I don't think that was. I think the timeline would be a little bit off there. So it could have very well been Chuck Clark if he was talking trash to like the Jets on the sideline. But I don't know, man. Very interesting dynamic there. It could be. People were talking about it could have been Hollywood. I don't know. So this has been talked about a lot. We overpaid for OBJ. I don't think you can quantify that we. Maybe in terms of strict production on the football field, you could say we overpaid. But in terms of all the other things that he brought, we came nowhere close to overpaying. Like, you can't put a monetary value on helping to sign your MVP quarterback in Lamar Jackson. You cannot tell me that he didn't have an impact on that. He 100% had an impact on bringing Lamar Jackson back, the probably two-time MVP for these Baltimore Ravens. And then you have the leadership and helping to groom these other wide receivers. And dude has made plays. Like, don't act like he didn't make like a lot of plays on the football field, like on third down. You know, he has. What about that catch last week against the Dolphins? Like, that was one of those I'm him, I still got it type of catches. So maybe he doesn't light up the stat sheet every week, but the dude can play football. He's got crazy hands. I think we're going to see him show up in the playoffs. KC going to try to sign OBJ. That's very possible. Ben Cleveland bought out last week. Absolutely. OBJ is not going to cost much, says Jeremiah. I disagree because he showed some good things on film this year. And the name alone, man, the name can carry you a long way. He's got the name for sure. I think that he'll probably at least get upwards of $8 million, at least $8 to $10 million from another team if the Ravens can't find a way to keep him. Hold on, guys. Gotta keep up on the coffee. That apparently Marlon Humphrey says that you're not a real man if you drink coffee. So, Baltimore BDG says, I know Hollywood is salty after he left us now. Very possible. Brendan Rice, wide receiver, USC, is underrated. He's a big body receiver. I think OBJ deserves what the Ravens paid him. I agree, man. I think he's done excellent things. Mike Evans, that would be wild. 1,000-yard receiver every year. Mike Evans and Lamar Jackson would be pretty fun with Zay Flowers on the other side and Rashad Bateman. Man, wouldn't that be wild? My friend is a big Bengals fan. I wonder if he's in the chat here. Let me know, Michael, if you're in the chat here. But he's a huge, huge, huge Bengals fan. He thinks that they're going to keep T. Higgins. I don't think they're going to be able to pay T. Higgins and Jamar Chase after they already paid, Joe Burrow as the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. I don't see it. They could find a way to make it happen, but I don't see it. But that would absolutely be wild if we brought in T. Higgins, because the dude can play football. Dude is talented, fast downfield, can separate, contested catch, good route runner, good over the middle, complete wide receiver. He's capable of being a number one. But I think the Panthers are probably going to lay down everything and offer him like $20 to $25 million a year to come play for the Panthers, because they need wide receiver help for their rookie quarterback there and Bryce Young. Keep in mind, Adam Thielen at 33 years old was their top producing wide receiver. That's how bad they needed wide receiver help. Not saying that Adam Thielen's bad, but you can't tell me at this point in his career that he's a number one receiver. I wouldn't mind him coming back. Yes. Let's get Hollywood. Man, that would be something else. The Florida connection. And then imagine you bring back Dalvin Cook, and then you got Zay Flowers from Florida, Lamar Jackson, Hollywood, Bates, like all these Florida guys. I think Aguilar is a Florida guy as well. That would be wild. The vibes would be cooking. What about Cook? Possible that we bring him back. He is probably tag and trade. Very possible there. Too early to give up on Ajabo. I agree. I'm not done on Ajabo yet. Think he's very talented. And man, shout out to you guys. I didn't even know we've been going for an hour and 13 minutes. We got 894 in a chat still. Don't forget to smash the like button if you're enjoying the stream. And you guys are keeping me busy here with all the questions and interaction. I appreciate you guys and love you guys. True, but if T. Higgins can't stay on the field, what good is he? I'll play the Robert Saleh clip. All right, so if you're new to the chat, I'll go ahead and show you. That's a good point here. We'll go ahead and show you what Robert Saleh had to say on Dalvin Cook, because there's some pretty nice words from the quarterback or from his head coach there. So let me go ahead and add this to the screen. Bear with me here, guys. And here we go.
Just good business for everybody, I guess. You know what? Dalvin's been an unbelievable teammate since the day he walked in here. Obviously, it hasn't gone the way any of us have wanted. He's been an unbelievable teammate, unbelievable mentor to the young guys. And I know he's been hurting, not physically, but just wanting to be out there to be able to help the team. But he's put aside all his frustrations and showed up with a smile on his face, energy in practice, and being attentive in meetings. And he's been an unbelievable teammate. And whatever opportunity he gets, I know he's going to be great.
All right, so Robert Saleh there, if you're seeing that for the first time, says that he's an excellent teammate, has been great mentality, mindset, leader, really wants to help his team out. And he has a chance to help out a team in the Ravens for a playoff run here. Excuse me. We need to keep Clowney and Van Noy. Man, I agree. If we could bring at least one of these guys back, that would be huge, because we're going back to the draft. If you want to talk about that real quick, one of the biggest needs for this team could be edge, because Odafe Owe, I think, will be heading into his 4th year. Then you're going to have Clowney, a free agent, Van Noy, a free agent. David Ajabo is a big question mark. So edge could be a need for these Ravens, especially if you can't bring back at least one of Clowney and or Van Noy. Hopefully we get to see Ardarius out there today. I'm not sure if he had been activated from the IR. I know he started practicing, but I love Ardarius. I've been high on Ardarius since we drafted him out of TCU. He should not have went undrafted. I know he's small, and that's why he went undrafted. But you know who else went undrafted because they were small? Keaton Mitchell. Like, it's crazy how much stock some of the scouting departments put into size. Like, Ardarius Washington's a football player, gets his hands on footballs, physical. Keaton Mitchell is a stinking lightning rod, a weapon, and as a pass catcher. Yeah, absolutely, man. 5 takeaways today. Mason Rudolph. Man, I think Mason Rudolph's going to – I don't care if he's going against like our all practice squad guys, heck, if we went again, if we played all the guys that we cut this year that were in our training camp, we could still beat the Mason Rudolph led Pittsburgh Steelers. That's how I feel about the Steelers in general. Man, I hope we get this win so they can back up my trash talk here. What about Dante Demas? We'll see here. I don't know about Demas. I think he's still in the practice squad. Could be wrong. The Panthers will not sign Brian Burns back. He would cost a lot of money. Sip Tally says we still winning. I agree, man. Let's get this dub. And so, yeah, guys, I really appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate all the interaction. Appreciate all the questions, the super chats. You guys are awesome. I haven't had a chance to do a lot of live streams, but we'll have them coming more soon. So we got to stop Najee and Pickens. Says, go, man. Yeah. He says, hate the Steelers. Let's send them to vacation. Yeah, man, they've got a chance to go ahead and end their season right here, right now. So I really appreciate you guys for tuning in today. We're about 3 hours away from kickoff, and I'm fired up for this game. And I hope you guys are fired up as well. I am fired up just as much as I would be for a normal game because I love me some Ravens. Love watching it. So shout out to, before we leave here, Rybro Martin says, love the channel. Thank you for the super chat. I always check on you and Engraven for my Ravens news, but I think we should not re-sign Geno. He did get 7 picks, but we're already stacked. We do have a lot of help there at the safety position, and Geno Stone's going to cost a lot of money. And we also have some other guys we got to pay, like Justin Madubuike, man. So Justin Holt says, peace and blessings, Noah. Right back at you, Justin. Appreciate you guys. Ravens Nation, Jeremiah, let's go Ravens, man. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate all the vibes and energy. And thank you all for tuning in. Smash the like button if you enjoyed today's content. Shout out to Lamont. Have a wicked day, Flock Nation. Shout out to him for joining the Patreon. If you guys are interested, I'll make sure to put that in the link in the description. Smash the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Love you guys, and we'll see ya after the Ravens hopefully get this dub against the Steelers.